So Summerween is trending right now, and honestly, I love the concept. Basically, it's just an excuse to enjoy all things spooky, scary, goth, dark in the middle of summer. I mean, what's not to love about that? It seems right up my alley. So that got me thinking that I already own several plants that fit this vibe. And so today I'm sharing with you my 13 Summerween plant picks. Some of which I have in my own collection and some of which I have been obsessing over online, and it's just gonna be a fun little share time. So before we get into it, I want to say if you're new here and you don't know me already, hi, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch some more of my videos, and subscribe to my channel. If you are not new here, welcome back. I really appreciate you returning. Now let's get straight into this. So the first one on my list is the Begonia ferox. Holy cow, do you see these spikes on these leaves? I know this plant is not for everyone, and I used to think that it was absolutely not for me. I've obviously changed my mind, changed my tune on this one. I think it is so cool. It fits right up that sort of goth dark plant vibes. It kind of looks like the leaf has just been studded with black spikes. Like, it's so three-dimensional. And also, the back is not for the faint of heart if you have that like fear of holes or whatever. How weird is that? It is so strange. All of the spikes are essentially hollow and it's like where the leaf has come up. But it is such a cool, weird one. Mine is also growing kind of oddly at the minute, but I feel like that just adds to the like weird and wonderful vibe of it all. I think this is my newest leaf. Look at that. It is so freaking cute. And I found this one at B&Q as well. Steal for only 12 quid. So I really love this one, and I'm so glad that I've been able to add it to my collection this year. And this next one is called the Black Bat Flower, aka Takachentrieri, I think it's pronounced. Sorry if I've butchered that. But these flowers look like they've stepped out of a freaking Tim Burton movie. They are so cool and weird, and like the long thingies can apparently grow up to 70 centimeters. That is huge, like hugely long. And like the petals on the back kind of look like a bat's outstretched wings, which is so cool. Apparently these ones can be grown as houseplants as well. I've seen them in plant shops sold as houseplants before, which is really cool. So maybe I'll have to try my hand at one someday because they are so fun. Unfortunately though, like the rest of the plant in my mind isn't all that exciting. So when it's not blooming, I don't know if it would necessarily fit the spooky vibe, but these blooms, they're just so surreal and strange, and I feel like would be really fun to have in my home, at least like once. I kind of want to just like have one, just for a moment. I don't need to keep it for like forever, but I just want to get one, get it to bloom, and then maybe like pass it on, because I don't know if it would be for me like the rest of the year. And then we have what I would consider probably the darkest alocasia I have ever owned. It is the Alocasia antoro velvet. Look how deep and dark these leaves are. I mean, they're reflecting the light at the minute, unfortunately, but they are so deep and dark. And the backs of the leaves are this beautiful purple color as well. And it's got this like slight fuzz to it, which makes it velvety and soft. Unfortunately, this one isn't the easiest alocasia. I've found mine cycles quite a bit. You can tell mine only has 2 leaves, and in general I would consider myself pretty good with alocasia, but this one I cannot really get to stop cycling, unfortunately. So it's definitely not the best bet for a newer plant parent or if you're not very familiar with alocasias, but it is such a cool one and I feel like it really fits this whole vibe. Up next we have Dracula orchids, and yes, Dracula is the genus. It's like instead of Phalaenopsis, they're Dracula, which blows my mind that they're actually called that. It's partially because the bottom petals of Dracula flowers kind of look like fangs, but also because Dracula in Latin translates to little dragon, and they do kind of look like little dragons, especially because the flowers, when you face them straight on, They look like they have little faces in them. Some people claim that they look like vampires. I personally see little monkey faces, but I'm kind of still here for it, and I kind of feel like it still fits into this vibe. A lot of the flowers on these have either like blood red tones or deep purples in them as well, which kind of adds to that dark aesthetic vampire Dracula vibe of them all. But unfortunately they're not really sold as houseplants. They are epiphytic orchids that grow in the cloud forests of South America, and they have like really specific requirements of cool temperatures and high humidity, which I feel like doesn't really match the environment of a lot of our tropical houseplanty homes. And so I don't think I'd be able to keep one. Maybe you could if that's your vibe, but I feel like for the most part they grow in greenhouses or obviously out in nature. So even if they are near impossible to keep as a houseplant, I still think they fit the Summerween vibe perfectly. And then we have the Begonia darthvaderiana. Yes, it is named after Darth Vader himself. Kind of crazy, but I love it. And it's because the leaves of this begonia are essentially black. They do kind of have a silvery outline halo on them as well, which I think really adds to the mystical vibes of them. I personally have a darthvaderiana green spots, which is a hybrid and apparently a little bit easier to take care of. It just has sort of green silvery spots on the leaves in addition to the black. Mine unfortunately isn't the happiest at the moment. These sort of rhizomaceous begonias are very sensitive, even though the hybrid is less sensitive than the normal one. This one is sensitive, and it didn't really like the transition process of repotting it into the terrarium it's currently in. And so that's just something to be aware of, because you can absolutely get these as houseplants, but they do not like being messed with. So if you get one, I highly recommend that you just kind of leave it in place and don't faff with the roots too much. They really don't like that, and they will throw a fit and potentially lose all their leaves like mine did. So just be aware that they are a little bit finicky, but I kind of think the cool dark vibe is worth it. Going in a slightly different direction, a more skeletal direction, we have the Monstera Devil Monster. And I've put this on this list even though it's not like dark spooky, because the like leaves literally look like a rib cage. The fenestrations are so extreme in there that there's really not that much leaf, and the leaf parts it has are like a mottled white variegation. It is a Monstera deliciosa cultivar. It was a mutation that was cultivated until it was stable, and now that they are on the market, they are really freaking popular. I think one of the first ones sold for something crazy like $30,000, and they're slowly dropping in price with tissue cultures coming about. They are becoming more available. They're still definitely out of my price range, and I don't know if I would necessarily want one for myself, but kind of purely for the skeleton aspect. And I mean, Devil Monster as well as a name is so cool, but I definitely can't justify a purchase like this for myself anytime soon because it is way out of my price range. So maybe if they become like much more common, like as common as the like normal variegated Monstera, I would like maybe toss my hat into the ring and get myself one. But until then, it's gonna have to be a no for me because they're just a little bit like, I'm a weird plant girl, but I almost feel like this one's a little bit too weird for me. So I don't know, I'm just gonna continue admiring them from afar and enjoying those like crazy skeletal leaves. Following on the skeletal route, the next one that I have is the Euphorbia White Ghost, which to me looks like it's made of bone, which is so fun. This is also one of the easiest succulents I have ever grown. It grows so fast. I don't even have mine in natural light. If you did, you'd probably want to put them in a place that gets pretty full sun. I've always had mine growing under grow lights, and it has just like gone crazy for me, and I am absolutely not mad at it, but I just kind of feel like each of these little things looks like a bone piece that's all mutating out from one place. And I mean, the name White Ghost fits perfectly into a Summerween list. But I really love this one, and I have one part especially that's like pretty much pure white. You can see some of these, they've got loads of green on them, but this kind of side here is kind of pure white and almost looks like a full bone color, which I find really, really fun. So highly recommend if you ever get a chance to get your hands on one of these, they still are on a little bit more of the expensive side because compared to sort of tropical plants, they grow a little bit slower, but I definitely think it's worth it because they are such a fun one to watch grow. And then we have the Anthurium Dock Block Michelle. I feel like a lot of dark Anthuriums could be included on this list, but I wanted to include this one specifically because I know that it was bred entirely to be a really nice dark black color. Dock Block himself has told me that he cultivates this one specifically with purple tones, which mixed with green of the normal leaves create this like dark black color, which is really enchanting with the lighter contrast veins in there. And also it's been bred to be pretty chill in your average home. Ideally, they like 60 to 80% humidity, which is, I guess, on the higher side, but my home is 60% humidity all of the time without me adding any sort of extra humidity boost. So it is absolutely fine in my home. I did just get my hands on one fairly recently. It is still but a baby, so it hasn't developed those like really big, beautiful, dark leaves quite yet, but I'm hoping I can get it to grow there because the big leaves on this one just look so nice. Another classic dark plant, and probably one of the first ones, if not the first one that I ever got, was the ZZ Raven. And this one is so cool. At least in the UK it's quite common and you can get it in loads of places. In the US I know they are a little bit more few and far between and they can cost a pretty penny, but in the UK they're considered very common. I really loved having mine. It was such a staple. I could kind of set it and forget it. I could kind of put it in a dark corner and it would still grow for me, which was amazing. Unfortunately, it didn't make it through my great downsize of 2026 when I was trying to heavily reduce the collection numbers I had in my home. I felt like I was more drawn to other plants instead. That being said, I think I would add it back to my collection because it is one that I genuinely miss having in my home. And I mean, what's not to love with these like tall black stalks with like the little black leaves on them? I don't know, it's perfect in my eyes. Another Anthurium we've got, but not a velvety one, is the Anthurium Queen of Hearts. Again, it is a super dark, nearly black colored Anthurium with extremely heart-shaped leaves. This is a heart if I've ever seen one in a leaf. And I got this one, I think late last year, just before Halloween last year, because I kind of became obsessed with them and I thought it'd be a perfect thing to add to my dark plants collection. And so far it's been growing pretty okay. I had it in my IKEA Millsbook cabinet for quite a while and it grew out of that a little bit. It grew a little bit leggier than I would have wanted with somewhat smaller leaves. Oh my gosh, there's a spider on it. That scared me. You're okay, buddy? Okay, I'm just gonna leave you. Not touch that leaf anymore. I'll show you this one instead. But it grew out of my cabinet and I haven't quite found the right place to put it because I do think this one does appreciate a little bit more light. I'd say probably medium to bright indirect because too much light and the leaves will kind of lose their dark coloration, which is kind of why I got the plant. So it is a sort of medium difficult plant, but it is kind of perfect for Summerween. Another begonia I can easily add to this list because I feel like a lot of begonias have the like dark palette, but this one is the Begonia bipinnatifida and I kind of think these leaves look like weird spider webs. They are so much fun and they are this beautiful dark almost black color as well. Look at that. It is just so fun and weird. This one as well has definitely gone through a journey with me. It absolutely loved living in my pond box when I used to have that, which was 100% humidity with like constant access to water. And then when I moved it into the IKEA cabinet that I have it in now, it threw a little bit of a fit. It is since recovering and it is growing a whole heck of a lot bigger. You can see I have it in no drainage, semi-hydro at the minute. So again, constant access to water, which it really kind of needs because these leaves are so thin. They can't really hold that much on their own. I just feel like they're so weird and like spider webby and almost kind of look like skeleton hands-y. I don't know how to describe it, but it just feels like it fits the spooky vibe of Summerween perfectly, and I am so glad that I didn't end up losing this one, because it is one of my favorite begonias, because it is just so weird and wonderful. This next one is the black rose aeonium, and it is so dark and its leaves are so waxy that it almost looks fake. It looks like a fake plastic rose almost. I totally understand where it got its name from, because the like leaf blades are so deep and dark, and it creates this really surreal, again, like almost something, it almost looks like a Tim Burton rose. Like if you're watching a Tim Burton movie, I could totally see the black rose aeonium just sitting in the background, and I probably wouldn't think twice about it because it fits that vibe perfectly. This one could definitely be grown as a houseplant as well. Probably better if you're more inclined to succulents than I am. I can barely keep my white ghost, let alone aeoniums. I feel like they're a little bit more on the difficult side for myself, and I tend to keep my home a little bit more humid than I think these ones would like, but they are totally growable as a houseplant, or if you live in a more deserty climate where succulents can grow outside, like my parents in California, they could definitely grow one of these in their garden, which would be so cool. Oh my god, imagine like a dark succulent goth garden. That would look amazing with loads of these in there. That would be so freaking cool. I would be so down. Also, even better, this one gets darker the more sun it gets, which I feel like is very on brand for Summerween. So maybe one day if I move back to the States into like a warmer climate, that can be part of my garden plan, but for now I think I'm going to have to love these ones from afar. And then this last one you absolutely cannot grow as a houseplant, but it 100% fits this list because it is called the corpse flower, or Amorphophallus titanum. This plant is native to the rainforests of Sumatra, and it produces the largest unbranched flowers ever. They can get upwards of 3 meters for like a single flower, and what's even crazier is they only bloom like every 3 to 5 years maximum. Some take even longer, like every 7 to 10 years, and they only bloom for 48 hours at a time. So when they do bloom, they draw crowds, but these crowds have to put up with the absolutely putrid, rotting meat, flesh smell that is the corpse flower. That's how it got its name. And actually this smell is what the plant uses to attract pollinators to it, like flies and other bugs that are attracted to decomposing things. They attract those in order to help pollinate themselves so that they can grow more seeds and grow more plants in the future and they don't just die out. I'm pretty sure they are endangered at the moment. I'm not surprised with the lack of flowering on this one, so conservatories throughout the world are really taking steps to conserve these, and whenever they do flower, they are making sure to collect pollen and pollinate them as well. I know we had one bloom in Kew Gardens a couple years back, and I definitely heard about it at the time, so even though that one's not really a houseplant, I feel like it is so deeply Summerween, and it just had to be included on this list. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my Summerween plant list. I would love to hear as well if you have some other ideas of plants that totally fit into the Summerween vibe. I'm always looking for more cool, weird, spooky plants to be aware of or to potentially add into my collection as well. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future, and subscribe for more. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to keep growing. Bye!